Hello beautiful people, I'm Daybe baby and welcome to my channel where we'll be discussing books, beauty, and everything else I want to discuss. So last week I discussed the 7-year slip. This week we're going to be talking about a book that encompasses life lessons, love, and culture. I'm talking about Maame by Jessica George. Y'all, I could not put this book down. I love this book. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I love this book. We are taking the time to see life through Madeline Wright's eyes while she's navigating mental health, she's navigating grief, she's navigating her love life, her dating life in her mid-20s. And I feel like this book just showcases this character so beautifully. Like, it's so realistic, it's so heartfelt. I'm in love with this book. I also love that it's a book talking about, like, specifically Ghanaian culture. I'm not Ghanaian, I'm actually Haitian, but I can relate to a lot of the things that she's saying in this book. Even though it's not my personal life, I can see where it stems from, especially when it comes from being in the African diaspora. I feel like this book just encompasses the story so well. Although this book talks about like a lot of hefty topics like grief and mental health and just getting to understand yourself in your mid-20s, I feel like there are so many comical points. Like I think that's what's the selling point on this book. Like, from the beginning, it's hilarious. And not hilarious in the sense like, kiki, like the whole time, but it's just like, you're like, girl, what the hell? But at the same time, you can see it happening. There are so many moments in this book that has me like, girl, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, what, WTF, to be honest. And I think that's what makes this such a pleasurable and great book. It's so relatable. Like, it's funny, it's realistic, it's relatable, it's a book you don't want to put down. And I feel like maybe it could be because I am of Caribbean descent, I am of the African diaspora, but I feel like anyone in your 20s can read this book and be like, I can relate to this. This was very close to home. And like I said, do I relate to this because I'm in my mid-20s? Do I relate to this because I'm a young woman? Do I relate to this because I'm born to immigrant parents? I feel like it could be all of the above, or it could just be that this is such great writing. Like, it's such a funny book. Like, I want y'all to read this book and be like, girl, what the hell? Like, I haven't had comedic relief in a book in a while. Like, I feel like the last book that had me laughing was Kev on Stage and Melissa Frederick's book. I think that was the last book that had me like laughing, like kiki, for real. And another thing in the book that like, one thing I don't necessarily relate to in my life right now is her dating. I'm married, I'm not dating. So she's telling her stories of her dating like in her mid-20s. She's basically 25, 26, and she's never had like a real relationship before. And it shows, like through the scenarios, it shows. But I hate the idea of thinking late bloomer, but basically this insists that she's a late bloomer and she's trying to catch up on life since she's missed out so much. And reading the stories and reading what she's going through, trying to date like as a first-time dater and like not really knowing how life works or like how dating works or how people just be playing in your face, it reminds me of the phrase that I hear my friends say all the time: the dating pool has piss in it. And this just showed me the pool, there's urination all up in the dating pool. But her dating stories make you love this character all the more. Like, even down to the title of the book, Maame. And then if you open the book, like first thing on the side little flap synopsis, it tells you Maame has many meanings in Tree, but in my case, it means woman. I already knew there was gonna be some ish going on once I heard that. I'm like, oh, I already know. I don't know where this is gonna go, but I already know there's about to be some ish because of how this started. It's like, your nickname is woman. From birth, your nickname was woman. Girl, they set you up. Throughout the story, you see her grow into the name and how she felt, like change how she feels about the name, getting a better understanding of her name, and it's just like, I forgot what it's called. It's like not rite of passage, but like coming of age, basically. And it's funny because it's a coming of age within like a short span of time. Like, I don't even think it's a year. This book like withholds a whole year, maybe even a couple of months. So the book starts off talking about Maddie and her family dynamic. Like I mentioned, she is Ghanaian. So she starts off saying, because she's African, and then she's like, hold on. I'm not gonna speak for all Africans. I'm gonna speak for me and my Ghanaian family. And it might not even be my Ghanaian family, like just the fact that I'm Ghanaian, it could just be my family. But she talks about how her family is very hush-hush. They don't like to discuss their matters with others. They feel like what's in the family should be kept within the family. And I feel like that's very common. I don't even want to say that's a African diaspora thing. I don't think that's an African diaspora thing. There's just some people who are very comfortable telling their business, and I think there's other families that are like, let's keep this between us. So it starts off by telling you that her father has Parkinson's disease. Already said off the bat. And then her mother, who's alive and well, lives in Ghana. And it's like, oh, okay, that's your mom's not with your daddy? And it's like, that's already the first thing. Throughout her whole childhood, basically, she's hiding the fact, not necessarily hiding the fact that her mom's in Ghana, but making it seem like it's not a big deal. Like, oh, her mom's just on a trip. But her mom is in Ghana more than she's actually home. Mind you, she also has an older brother named James, who she doesn't see much. He's the older brother. Back to her mom. So her mother is in Ghana because she's in charge of taking care of her late father's, I believe it's a hostel, whatever it is, some type of property in Ghana. She and her brother both own it, but because the father passed away, she feels like she has to take majority of the responsibility, and that is why she spends majority of her time in Ghana. And when I say majority of the time, like, her mom will be in Ghana for a year, come here for a month, and then go back to Ghana. Like, that's the life that her mom's living. And she's been living that life since Maddie was maybe like 12 years old, I feel like. I can't remember too well, but I feel like that's what they said in the book. Already off the bat, you can tell that Maddie she doesn't have that physical connection with her mother. Like, she's literally not here to have that physical connection. Like, if anything, it's call, phone call, phone call. And throughout the book, you see the way her relationship with her mother is. It's very, I'm the provider. And I mean that in the sense that Maddie provides for her mother. So it's like, whatever the father needs, Maddie takes care of. The mother cannot do it because she's handling things in Ghana. And James, her brother, can't handle because he's on the road working, so everything falls on Maddie. So much to the point, there's points in the book where Maddie's talking about having to take out school loans just to get by and to pay for bills because her mother doesn't have money, her brother cannot provide money. And I feel like the situation's like, I feel like financially sometimes, people may not have it, but you can tell from the beginning of the book that it's more of a situation where people leave things on Maddie to handle instead of helping her. They just think Maddie's going to handle it, so she does handle it. So once again, responsibility always falls on Maddie. Like when it comes to taking care of her father, she has a carer with her, but she feels like majority of the time it has to be her. She lives with her father, she cares for her father, she feeds her father, puts her father to bed. That is her role. One thing I thought was kind of interesting is the fact that, like, just how this fell into her lap of her being the carer and her being the provider, because it's like, one, she's the younger sister. Like, she has an older brother. I feel like a lot of cultures, I feel like they expect the man to be the provider and the not caretaker, but like he provides. And it's like, it's interesting that financially she's still the one providing. Like the older brother didn't even pitch in financially. Next thing, her mother is alive and well. It's not like her mother is sick. Her mother is alive and well, just in Ghana. And I understand, you have a business to take care of, but it's like the way, baby, this is your husband. You're alive and well, and I'm taking care of your husband. I just thought that was so weird. And I'm like, is that a culture thing? I don't know. But it's like, I feel like a lot of this just comes back to her being a woman, and I feel that happens so often, just across the board, across cultures. When you, as a young woman, you're supposed to be the carer. You're supposed to be the carer. You're supposed to be the one that watches everybody. You're supposed to be the one on top of everything. And I felt bad for my girl. I just felt so bad for my girl. Because it's like, you can tell that she loves her father. There was not a doubt that she did not love her father. But you can tell her having this responsibility only on her really did play a role in her life. So much to the point that when she was not caring for her father, she felt guilty. She felt guilty having her mother help. She felt her mother was not competent enough to care for her father. She felt like her brother would never be the one to do it. She felt guilty just having the carer take more hours just for her to live her life. And when I say live her life, like, girl was not hanging out with her friends. She did not have no boyfriend. She didn't have nothing. She was Work, home, work, home, work, home. That's it. And I feel like there should have been some balance to that. But I understand how she had a cycle, and at this point in life, like, it's just very hard to break it, which rails to my next point. So also, this book discusses her work life. Baby, corporate America is nasty, okay? Oh, sorry, well, this is not America. Corporate anything is nasty. And I felt like this book was a very good depiction of how corporate be nasty. Very nasty. In the beginning, I believe she works as a personal assistant to someone, but she hates the job. She does her job, but she hates her job. She's doing nothing wrong. She's getting by with the job. She's doing what she's supposed to do. But she hates the job. And not to say that it shows, but it's like she's not putting the extra effort for this job because she doesn't care about this job, because she hates this job. So although she is doing her job the way her job is intended to be done, she then gets fired. In the beginning of the book, already getting fired. And the reason her higher-ups decided to fire her is essentially because she can't read the mind of her boss. Basically, they want someone to find the problem before the problem even exists. And it's like, baby, that's not possible. Like, that's just not possible. Her boss was literally mentally unstable, would break down and scream in the office. And instead of viewing her boss as the issue because she could not handle things, they said, no, we need somebody who can figure out the problem before the problem even exists. It's like, that's not possible, baby. But they fired her anyway. And I was just like, this is very corporate. Very corporate. So this leads her to finding a new role, looking for a job. And in my mind, she found a job really quick. For the job market, she found a job really quickly. But she found a role in publishing. It pays less, but she feels like it may be a little more fulfilling than the work that she did previously. And she needed something quickly because in the midst of this, like during the story, I'm all over the place. She signs up to go get what they call a flat. I'm assuming it's a studio or an apartment. Let's get more into the idea of her role. So now she's going to be working in publishing as, I can't remember her role exactly, but mainly she was doing admin work. They made it clear that her majority of her role would be in admin work, but she would have time to do things more on the creative side. And that is what appealed to her in even wanting to work at this company. While working in the company, she starts to feel like she can add value by if she speaks up, or if she gives ideas, or if she just puts herself out there. So she starts to do that. She starts to put herself out there. She starts to give out publishing ideas and things like that. In the beginning, she feels like no one is listening to her, and they're not looking to develop her and to boost her up to the next level, to like be in a place where she can grow. And I feel like that happens so often in corporate. They don't want to bring you up. They just want to keep you right here. They don't want you to move. They want you right here. So often, like, she feels like they're giving her the work that no one else wants to do. It has to be done, but no one else wants to do so. And she's being so busy with this, so she can't do any of the other stuff that she wants to do. But eventually she gets to a point, all that work does get done. So why can't I do the creative stuff, the other stuff, the things that I'd be in higher pleasure to do? So she tries to stick it out in hopes that the position will get better. I believe sometimes sticking it out does get better. Sticking it out can get better, but sometimes sticking it out is literally just keeping you in the same place. You have to leave, you have to move. In Maddie's case, she took a leap of faith in pitching and trying to actively be a part of her company and trying to better the company and giving them ideas. And it's like, I don't want to spoil too much, but let's see if that works in her favor. So anyways, let's get back to Maddie and her family dynamic. Maddie's mom decides that she is coming back to the UK to stay for, I believe she said she's going to stay here for a year. So because she said she's staying for a year, she's like, Maddie, I need you to go live your life. I find it a very interesting concept when, I don't know if it's the African diaspora. I'm just going to chop it up to that because I'm not sure if it's like her. I feel like they're so quick to tell you to not talk to nobody, don't mess with nobody, don't do nothing with nobody for who knows how long. Then once you start getting 25, close to 30, where is your husband? Where is your lover? Where is your this? Where is your, like, you didn't want me talking to nobody. I wasn't even allowed to sit next to people. Like, what are you talking about? So I find this funny because her mom is like, I need you to go live your life, girl. Like, go get an apartment, go do something, go find yourself a man. And it's very funny. So Maddie takes this opportunity, although she feels super guilty about it, like immensely guilty. She's like, I'm gonna use this opportunity to go live my life and be a normal 25-year-old. That's another concept in the book I thought was very interesting is discussing like what is normal. In the book, she talks about how she's like, I'm gonna smoke, I'm gonna drink, I'm gonna have a boyfriend, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna have friends. When it's like, and it's like, if you're not doing those things, you're not living the 25, young 20s life. I'm like, girl, you don't gotta do that. Like, I'm reading this and I'm like, is this like it's like a little canon event. It's a canon event because, like, girl, you don't even know if you like this stuff for real, but it's like, this is the new Maddie. This is what I'm gonna do. I've been missing out. Like, it's so funny, the narrative of, I missed out so much on when I was young, when I was caring for my pappy, when I was doing X, Y, Z. I'm gonna live my life now. And it's like, girl, you don't even like stuff like that for real. You don't like stuff like that for real. You think you gotta like stuff like that for real, but you don't. Maddie then is like, okay, I'm gonna go find an apartment. I'm gonna live away from home just to live my life. She goes and she puts a deposit on an apartment. This is before they fire her from her job. Literally, like, I feel like a day after, if anything. So fast forward, Maddie is now living her life with two flatmates. I believe their names are Joe and Cam. And she's like she's been drinking, like not heavy drinking, but this girl did not drink at all. Like, so she's been drinking, partying, she's talking to guys, she's on apps. Basically, she's living the life of a 25-year-old. And she's like, this is fun, this is cool. I wish I had this. And it's like, it's funny because you can see it's so picture perfect of what a 25-year-old life is supposed to be. And then boom, her dad dies. I kid you not, her dad dies. She's supposed to go see her father. He dies on his birthday. She's so drunk and hungover that she can't go see him. She doesn't realize till like halfway through the day, it's like 4 o'clock, her mom calls her sobbing, I think, saying your dad is dead. And the guilt this girl feels it's so immense, it's so sad because she's blaming herself, she's blaming others for the fact that she wasn't with her father when he died. She was living her best life instead of being there on his birthday and right before he died. So I can understand when I say I understand, not like I've experienced it, but I can see where she's coming from and feeling so hurt and so guilty because of you being his main person all these years. And it's like, now for 2 seconds you feel like you're living your life, and then he passes away. You're like, dang, like basically, like not for real, but for real, it's like, low-key, I killed this man. Like, the joke is I killed this man, but you didn't. And it's like, it was bound to happen. And she shouldn't be blaming herself for it. This point in her life is where it just shifts everything. Like, this is where reality shifts, what matters shifts, what tomorrow's gonna be like just shifts. Everything just shifts because the person she's loved and cared for, literally, majority of her life is now gone. And it's like, I don't mean that in a sense of purpose, but it's just like you have to now create a new normal because her father has passed. And it's just like, oh my God, you feel so bad. And you're reading the book of all the things that she's going through, like how she's getting through her day, like waking up anxious, or like there'll be little comments like she smells her stuff and it's like, she does not smell great. It's like, you already know where this is going. This girl is going through grief, she's going through depression. It's like, and it's understandable. What's funny is that even in the first chapter of the book, you can sense that Maddie has some type of mental situation going on. It's like, you're not sure if it's her being anxious, you're not sure if it's her being depressed. It's like, but you come to realize she already has depression, but I don't think it manifested itself so much until her father passed away. I think she was able to like bottle it up more and not worry about it. But once her father passed away, that was her breaking point where she literally had to relearn everything. And that is one thing I appreciate in this book, is that they take the time to talk about how people handle mental health and grief and things of that nature differently. In the book, Maddie has a best friend named Nia. And when Maddie's father dies, Nia is literally not her beck and call. She is literally one of her biggest supporters, not leaving this girl's side. She's making sure that this girl's outside, literally. She's bringing food to her. She's caring for her. Nia hasn't even been here majority of the time. Like, they've always been besties, but Nia just came back in town. You come to find out Nia's father passed earlier, and she's like, Maddie's like, I wasn't this friend to you when your dad passed. And it's like, but this is the friend I needed. And Nia even goes to say, like, I'm glad you were not that friend, because I couldn't handle you being that person that I am for you, you being that person for me. Because everybody was trying to be that person for me, and it was too much on me. I thought that was a very interesting way to showcase the difference in how people grieve. I also thought, like, the way people deal with mental health is very different. Like, for example, you had Maddie, who basically bottled everything in, did not feel comfortable talking to people, was very scared to be vulnerable. And then you had her boss, like I mentioned earlier, who was literally on the brink of breaking every 2 seconds. And I don't blame her. Life can be stressful, but it's like to the point where she's blowing up at her colleagues and her coworkers in an office. And it's just like, that was depression manifesting itself in her. It's very easy to come off the gate and think there's a certain approach to mental health and grief and all these things you go through in life because other people do it. And it's like, baby, that's not how life works. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do for you. And then sometimes you just gotta push through. But it's like, you can't just do things the way other people do think it's gonna work for you. Like Maddie was talking about certain times where she's like, I'm not crying. I'm sad, but I'm not crying. Is that bad? It's like, no, girl, that you just processing things differently from everyone else. Trust me, we know you feel sad, you feel hurt, you feel lost, you feel like a part of you has literally been taken out and you're not gonna get it back. But you don't have to cry. At least not now. Now, don't get me started on Maddie's dating life. Like that was funny. That was sad. It was sad, but it was funny. I really wanted to just give my good sis a hug because she was struggling out the gate. This dating war, she was struggling from the get-go. Like I keep telling you, she was literally experiencing the piss in the dating pool. That is what she had. I personally haven't been on any dating apps, but basically from what my friends tell me and what's in this book, this book is very accurate. This book is very, very accurate. And the sad part is my girl is looking for her prince. She's looking for her boo. She's looking for her prince. But she's getting frog after frog, toad, tadpole, reptile, everything but a prince playing in her face. But I feel like it's comical, and I'm just going to leave it to y'all to figure out that part. I feel like you need to see it. The last important theme in this book that I think is extremely, extremely important, like the role it plays through this book is just so important, is community. The power of community, whether it be family, friends, workspace, extracurricular, your need for community and how just that's such a force to get you through life, bro. You need community. Like you cannot get through life thinking you don't need anybody. Like you need, even if it's for a little, like 1 minute thing, like you need community. Even if you're the kind of person that I just need an hour or a week to go play chess, that is community. If it weren't for Maddie's friends, Nia and Shu, I don't think she could have possibly thought about a life after her father. Like, I don't think she would have been able to cope with the idea of having to come with terms that there is a life after your father. There is a new normal. There is a tomorrow you will get through today. It is going to take time. It could take a day. It could take a year. It could take 12 years. There will be a time where you understand this is a new normal and you're going to be able to cope with that. Even throughout the book, she had to cope with now being vulnerable with people she had in her community. Like, she had to be vulnerable with her mother. She had to be vulnerable with her friends. She had to be vulnerable with men she wanted to possibly date. Like, that's just how it works. You cannot get through life without some type of vulnerability. It's never gonna work. Now, I'm not saying put it all on the floor. I'm never gonna say put all your business on the floor, put everything on the ground. There needs to be some balance. But this you cannot go through life having a hard shell 24/7. Like, it got to the point, girl literally broke. She literally broke. When her dad passed away, she literally broke and cussed people out. Like, she was cussing people out left and right because she had bottled so much in that it blew up on her. And that, I guess that was her release. But it's like, baby, you can't be doing that. You need to get to a point where you can comfortably talk to people before it blows up in your face and you feel like you can't handle it anymore. Like, Maddie literally let things bottle so much that she became, she was ballistic. And then to the point, it literally got her sick. One thing, you do not let these people stress you out to the point you get sick. Don't let nobody stress you out to the point you getting sick. You need a little stress in life. It's inevitable. But people getting you sick, you about to piss me off. Don't let nobody get you sick. This book was a beautiful combination of love, sadness, culture, relationship, and everything in between. Like, even down to the humor, everything in between. Like, I love this book. I would rate this book a 9. I don't know if I'm just being too optimistic for like the beginning of our book club, but I feel like I haven't been so excited to pick up a book. Like, this was very exciting to read. Like, I'm going through the pages, I'm like, oh my God. Let me know if you guys do end up reading this book. If you pick up this book, let me know what your thoughts are on it. I've heard a lot of positive things about this book on TikTok, at least. I'll be sharing my thoughts on the next book in 2 weeks. Not the next book of like this series, but the next book I choose to read. So please make sure you are subscribed so you can see that video. Make sure you click the notification button so you are notified when I post that video and you don't miss that video. And while you're at it, why not go ahead and like this video? Because I know you like this video because you made it this far and this was a very good discussion. But anyways, thank you for staying tuned through the whole video and just discussing this book with me. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Till next time.